when was the last time you saw a TV show that had just a generally well-adjusted nuclear family?
I'm trying to think about it.
Husband's there, wife's there, dad goes to work, also helps with the chores sometimes.
Oh,
maybe he forgets things once in a while, and the wife gets a little bit upset, but always forgives him. When was the last time?
I remember one
had
Disney
one.
show, Good Luck Charlie, had that.
Man with a Plan. It's got Matt LeBlanc stars in it.
Okay.
Not bad. It's pretty wholesome. It's a sitcom. And they've got their issues, but it's a nice family.
Maybe
When did that end?
That I don't know if it's still going. I think it got canceled. Maybe that's the reason it got canceled.
Is there anything right now?
No.
I don't think so.
That
and
was
Disney
pretty
for
recent.
a long time has had a strange obsession with portraying families where one of the parents is dead, usually the mom.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
They kill off one of the parents.
Or both of them.
Everybody could look
Yeah.
up to Goofy from a Goofy movie. Goofy was a great dad.
Yeah. Heroic single dad.
Johnny Derp says Home Improvement. Yes, that was the 90s. That's what I'm saying.
Is there anything now?
Yeah, well, so Man with a Plan was like 2018, 2019.
Okay.
So, but I don't know if it got canceled or not.
Carnell says Ozark. Yes.
Ozark, there you go.
Yeah, all right, that's a fair, I just, Tim Allen.
The
with Last
beginning
Man
of The
Standing.
Walking Dead, maybe.
But the point is that it's the exception now, right?
Yeah.
It's not the rule, and you're not going to get a bunch of good examples of like shows where the family's portrayed as a wholesome, like a wholesome thing to aspire to. I would argue, like, my argument would always been like, I don't like to take the approach that like it's a big Hollywood conspiracy and they just want to discredit the idea of the family. I think that if you're a writer, the idea of conflict and a less than traditional family is more interesting as a writer.
But why is their only idea of conflict something that is disharmony in the family rather than any other form of conflict that you could show in a story?
It could be it could in a way reflect the real world, right? As divorce rates have gone up, we're now raising writers who are part of homes where that's their life experience.
A lot of people praise Quiet Place for having a strong father figure character and strong family.
Well, they abandoned that after the first movie.
Well, but that was the point, is that he sacrificed himself for his family. I mean, the second one was all right, despite Krasinski not being in the same role there, but I don't know.
Madam Secretary, which was a Téa Leoni show where she's the Secretary of State. Tim Daly plays her husband. They're actually a very, very solid family unit in that show, and they've got 3 kids. They've got the idealistic, annoying older daughter. They've got the middle child who's kind of reserved. Yeah, that would be an example of I'm just trying to think of shows that I've watched, but even that was 2015, and that's late on the spectrum of it. That show was actually really good until it went full woke in the last season and had Hillary Clinton on.
She was actually on the show.
Oh. Yeah, it was really bad.
Well,
really
there's
bad.
nothing on right now.
Not on ABC, NBC. I feel like I spend all my time on streaming services, so I'm missing the few shows that are actually still doing weekly premieres on cable.
But that's totally irrelevant.
Maybe. Why is that irrelevant to?
Streaming is completely taken over.
Sure, but eventually you will see after 3 or 4 successful seasons, people start talking about it. It's it hasn't been canceled. So I don't know. What I'm saying is I haven't done my due diligence. And
a lot of people didn't know about Yellowstone until season 3.
Right.
You could argue that Better Call Saul got no attention from the media and was on for a really long time and was very highly regarded.
A lot of people thought it was going to fail.
Yeah. I made a post about that the other day. Said there's this weird pocket that you can Ozark kind of fell into that category too, where you can hope to you get away from the scrutiny that comes from the media, where they get to tell you didn't cast enough of this person, you didn't cast enough of that person. You want to shoot for middle ground, AMC, FX, and get to make your show without being kind of inundated with that backlash. And the only way to do that is to not look to be part of the superhero genre, stay away from that, and just make your own stuff. But then to be successful doing that, you have to really put up numbers. You're not allowed to be artificially held up by the network because they don't have some social justice cause that they can use to market it, right? That they can use, like, we keep it on, sure, it sucks, but we keep it on the air because look at how inclusive it is, right? Mm-hmm. Those other shows, the ones that don't rely on that, either do it naturally and get no praise because they don't do it in a way that's ham-fisted, or they have to live and die on just how good the show is. And there's very little of that right now. There used to be a hell of a lot more. One that I've been looking into that I haven't gotten a chance of seeing that I heard started really well but didn't finish good was Dark Winds, which is a Zahn McClellan show, McKernan show on FX.
Okay.
And he's really, really good. But I have not seen that. But that one's like, that kind of feels like a really diverse version of that type of show, right? Where it's not, it's like in the Better Call Saul realm of like, it's not going to get the attention of these other projects. So maybe that's like that, or that's what The Old Man was. The Old Man on FX that I watched with Jeff Daniels. Good show, a little bit boring as it went on, but like definitely room for improvement if they did make a season 2. But it's no play from the media. Neither did The Patient.
Yeah. I don't know why that is.
It's because it doesn't fit into the box. Of what
a lot
they
of people would say that what they're pushing right now reflects people's real life experiences more than what shows about like wholesome families, like intact families did in the past.
So is it a
It's
reflection?
about reflecting your like people's the viewers' real life experiences more than instructing them on how they should live their lives. Well, I disagree with that, but
do you think it was always that way? Do you think
that's a common rebuttal is all?
Do you think it was always that way, right? So in the 50s or whenever Leave It to Beaver and stuff came out, it wasn't that they were instructing you to be that way. It's just that the people who wrote those stories were raised under a facade of a much healthier home.
Not just a facade, a reality.
I'm
a reality of that.
And perhaps they did, perhaps they didn't.
What people would say now, even though they've never experienced that time period, is that it was all a facade, and that all of those shows were made to mask the unhealthy dynamics and abuse and addiction, whatever that was going on in people's families. No doubt there were dark things happening to people all throughout human history. No one is claiming that there weren't problems. But like that also doesn't mean that you need to show all of that in our entertainment.
One of my biggest complaints of things right now is there's this weird astroturfed like notion on social media where they talk about how every wife in the 50s was abused. Like that's a thing where they like make memes about it, like
that men just like went around hitting women at random. Like what?
So
just didn't.
Would you
happen.
consider the Scarlet Witch show? Would you consider that because they joked?
I haven't seen WandaVision.
So each episode is a different era of television, and so it goes like the first episode's black and white because it was like 1950s television, but she's got her husband who's I forget the character's name, and she's got 2 kids. It's a nice little family, nice little nuclear family. But again, it's a superhero show. It's not about that, even though that exists in the show.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I really do think it's more that the writers evolve with the times, and they're just growing up in a time now where not only are the families falling apart more common, it's more common for families to fall apart. Divorce is over 50%
right
now.
Or marriage, they don't even get married.
Or they don't even get married. It's like we were talking earlier about what is it, like somebody's having Olivia Wilde having like a flower girl, like your daughter as a flower girl at your wedding because nobody's actually waiting for marriage to have kids.
Yeah,
it's just a different time. It's a bummer.
But I just don't think that you have to reflect all of the wounds in society in our entertainment. That's not always the purpose of it.
What would you like to
Sometimes
see?
it's just to entertain. Sometimes it's just to instruct. Sometimes it's a mix of the two. Sometimes, I mean, like, I think of like a Euphoria, and you're showing things that teenagers these days generally don't even go through. as something aspirational.
I don't want to watch Euphoria. Like
I don't either.
It makes me uncomfortable.
It shows literal high school teenagers like doing heroin and like getting R-worded. Like I just don't understand why that
I think it's also
the
desensitizing the issue. You know, it's like when that stuff does happen,
and romanticizing it to the audience they know.
The real version,
too young to know better.
The real version would show a bunch of high school girls meeting guys on Tinder and a bunch of high school boys meeting no women because all the girls that are in their age range are meeting older guys on Tinder. Right. That's what the real version would be.
No, the real version would be that actual Gen Z teenagers who are in high school right now are socially isolated, anxious, social media addicted, porn addicted losers. Like they're not doing intravenous heroin or like partying like the way they show on Euphoria. It's statistically the generation that goes out the least, has the least friends, has the least sex.
Yeah, that seems to be true. I mean, I
if it were really about showing the real gritty lives of the viewer,
to be fair,
something they can relate to, then it wouldn't.
Their job.
Then they wouldn't show that. But that's all I'm saying. It's the rebuttal to what we're saying.
Yeah.
Show something wholesome and like an intact nuclear family. The rebuttal is like, but that's not real life. Well, Euphoria is also not real life.
Yeah.
Right.
So what would you like to see beyond just the nuclear family, which I think everyone would like to see more of, and at least done more thoughtfully in television? What's something else you'd like to see them focus more on?
I don't know. Character studies.
I would like to see 1 hour long episodes of Atlanta on FX.
Okay.
Seriously, no, that's one of my shows that I watch that I really enjoy, and maybe the reason I enjoy it is because they talk about real stuff, but it's shortened to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But I don't think they overdo anything. You've got the blend of comedy, even though they're in stressful situations, right? You've got the college parties that they go to, which I think they do a tremendous job of showing just how, like, there's a joke in Atlanta. This girl has 30,000 Instagram followers. She'll never be able to actually understand reality. Like, she has a warped view on reality, and I'm like, I think that was really well done, you know.
In the sense that like most people will never have 30,000 people that give a crap what's going on in their lives.
Well, no, but this particular character they were talking about was very up on her high horse, right? Thought she was, she was all that, and she was crazy. From the viewer's standpoint, you're like, oh my god, this girl's unhinged, like she's crazy. But everyone in the show was treating her, like she was a goddess, you know. And they warned, it was Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. They warned him. They're like, "Hey, man, be careful. Like, it's not going to play out well."
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. I don't know.
We talk about what we want on this show so much, and we never see it. That I'm just tired of.
I'm rewatching Lost right now. Yeah. That's how much there's
like
good
rewatching is
television
basically
there
your
is.
only option now.
I mean, that's literally all I do. I don't watch almost anything.
Asking for what we want doesn't work. They're not listening and they don't care.
We review movies, but for shows and stuff like that, we're going to review Tulsa King when it comes out. But everything that I rewatch, it's just I rewatch stuff because it was made so much better back when. I've been watching The Shield. I mentioned that yesterday. And they would never be able to make that show today because there's a sense of uncompromising realism with how they portray race relations in that show that you would never be able to do today. And honestly, one of the best runs of a character where there's a cop in the show who's extremely religious, who's also gay, who goes through some horrible stuff through other officers just treat him just horribly. But then other character, it's not done heavy-handed. The character never looks for sympathy. The character never portrays himself as a victim. It's kind of there's scenes where they're going through sexual preference reassignment operation, and it's just but they portray it as this is insane. It's hard to believe that they would be able to do that in a way now that would be good, that wouldn't feel like propaganda. And that's because I don't trust the writers today to do that.
The writers are out of touch, but they're also lazy.
Oh,
right.
And somebody says Hallmark TV shows traditionally have.
That's true.
That's a good point.
But they're not.
Candace Cameron
good.
Bure is. How do you pronounce her last name? Candace Cameron
Bure or Bure? I don't
whatever
know.
it is, she is single-handedly keeping the nuclear family together. Her and the whatever her new station is now that she's
Great
no
American
longer,
Family?
Great American Family now that she's no longer with the Hallmark Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I bet. Look, let's be honest. The quality is not gonna be there.
And that's
okay.
Fine. There's a guy named Max the Very Good Boy on Instagram who does really funny Hallmark movie pitches. Everyone should go listen to them. We're like
wait, so there's a Max the Very Good Boy, but then there's also a Good Boy Noah.
Yes, not the same.
Why are there so many good boys?
I have no idea.
Ask Jordan Peterson.
Ask Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.